Hey everybody, FW Waller here, and I want to start off this video with a weird little abstract question. When a certain series or a fictional property is filled with really weird, over-the-top stuff like aliens, spaceships, giant robots, biotic powers, more aliens, aliens who have the capability to have sex with any other species. May I ask, is it possible for a property like this to jump the shark, as it were? Well, after I got through playing Mass Effect 3, that question was answered, and I found out firsthand that the answer was yes. And I've got to say right now, I didn't want to think that the rumors were true, but they are. Mass Effect 3 has the all-time worst ending ever put in a video game. I never thought I would ever say this about anything related to Mass Effect. I really didn't. Do you know how much I love Mass Effect? I've played through both the Mass Effect games countless times. I've downloaded every single piece of DLC. I've done all the side missions. I've done everything there is to do in every one of the Mass Effect games. I love the storyline. I love the characters. I love the universe. I love the fiction. I love the mythology that the creators, that BioWare has put into the Mass Effect universe. But, oh my god. The way that Mass Effect 3 ended just flushed everything you've ever loved about Mass Effect. Everything you've ever sort of not liked or disliked or you found to be very strange or unorthodox. All of that is flushed right down the toilet in the way that Mass Effect 3 ended. You want to know how bad it is? Imagine the ending to Halo 2. The notorious cliffhanger ending to Halo 2 on steroids. And that's a pretty good description of the ending to Mass Effect 3. But I guess I should just quit bitching about it and actually go into detail with what actually happened. Now, before I get into this, let me just say right now that if you're still playing Mass Effect 3 and you haven't gotten to the end, I think it's a no-brainer that I'm going to spoil a whole lot about this. I'm going to spoil a whole lot of important plot points in this video, so stop watching if you haven't beaten the game yet. Okay, you've had your chance. Now, let's get into it. Alright, in Mass Effect 3, the game begins with Shepard at Earth, and he's on trial for the events that happened in the downloadable content mission that happened in the second game, known as The Arrival. Now, to bring you all up to speed on what happens in that mission, basically what happens is that Shepard is called to this moon, this asteroid, where this group of human researchers have found this Reaper artifact that actually serves as the key for the Reapers coming back. And the Reapers will be returning through this relay called the Alpha Relay. But Shepard is kidnapped and betrayed by the human researchers, and when he wakes up 2 days later, he finds that he has only an hour before the Reapers come back through the relay. So, what Shepard does is that he programs the asteroid to collide with the relay and destroy it, preventing the Reapers from coming back. Now, when this happens, when the relay is destroyed, it causes the entire star system that the relay is located in it causes the population on all of the habitable planets. Basically, everybody living on the planets in those star systems is killed because the relay's explosion is that devastating. And because Shepard killed thousands of innocent Batarians that lived in that star system, he's arrested and put on trial on Earth. Unfortunately, when that happens, though, the Reapers attack Earth, and they somehow found a way to come back and attack Earth. Now, when Shepard finally escapes Earth, he's given the task of uniting every single sapient organic race in the galaxy together to help humanity destroy the Reapers once and for all, which, so far, it sounds like a pretty promising idea for the third game. And it was. All that I was playing of Mass Effect 3, when I first got it, I was playing it non-stop. I can't begin to describe how addicted I was to Mass Effect 3 because I was enjoying every single second of playing that whole game. The game was perfect. There was nothing I didn't like about it. Well, there were just a few nitpicky things here or there that I kind of went at, but still that didn't really affect my overall opinion that the game was a complete masterpiece. That is until I got to the ending. Now, let me tell you all something, that the ending is incredibly promising because the end mission is insanely long, because it starts when you finally find a way. Basically what happens is that you find this assassin who's working for the elusive man named Kai Lang, who's actually a character from the Mass Effect novels. And what happens is that you put a tracker onto Kai Lang and you track him to this base, this Cerberus base, where you actually find out that the elusive man is hanging out at. And when you get to this base, the elusive man isn't there, but you fight Kai Lang and you kill him, but you actually figure out that the key to this ancient Prothean device that is being built throughout this entire game, that is supposed to be the ultimate weapon against the Reapers, the key to finishing that Prothean device, which is known as the Crucible, is actually the Citadel itself. Which is kind of weird, considering that in the first game, the Citadel was the mass relay that allowed the Reapers to come back through dark space and into our galaxy. So, my question is, how can the Citadel be the relay? How can it be the link that allows the Reapers to come back from dark space into our galaxy? And at the same time, how can it be the one weapon that can destroy the Reapers? They never really... They never explained that. It just seems a bit contradictory. That seems like a pretty big plot hole, but it's pretty insignificant compared to the shit that happens later on in the game's ending. After you find that, you find out that the Reapers have moved the Citadel to Earth. Anyways, Shepard takes all the species and all their ships and fleets, and they arrive at Earth, and there's this massive space battle sequence that takes place. It is one of the most epic space battles I've ever seen in any sci-fi story. Like it gives the space battles from the Star Wars movies a run for their money. Seriously, in fact, I would say that it blows the space battle over Coruscant in Episode 3 right out of the water. Mainly because the space battle in Mass Effect 3 has a lot more of an emotional attachment to it. But, yeah, anyways... Yeah, there's this huge, epic, spectacular space battle. There's Reapers and there's ships just blasting at each other. There's starfighters just flying around and their shit blowing up everywhere. The Normandy's flying through all this chaos that's happening right above the Earth. It's awesome. It's absolutely amazing. It's breathtaking as hell. And eventually, when you get down to Earth, you go to London, where you meet up with Captain Anderson, or Admiral Anderson, I should say. And boy, the emotional impact of this last level is absolutely monumental, because the whole game, this whole 30 to 40 hour game has been building up to this one moment. And when you get there, you feel every single second of all that ridiculous time you spent preparing for this battle. But yeah, you get down there, you take down a couple of Reapers to allow all of the human, Turian, Krogan, whatever else troops that there are to land on Earth. You make it to Anderson's little encampment, and you talk with everybody, and I mean everybody. All of your crew members, all of the crew members from all the past games are there, and you can talk to them, and you can get them motivated, and you can just rally them, and you can get them to have your back. You can just talk with them, because Shepard will just talk with everybody. He'll talk with Garrus, Javik, Tali. He'll talk with every one of them, and they're like, man, it was so great working with you. If we ever survive this battle, I'm getting you a drink. We're doing something fun. I have your back. You have my back. All that mushy-cushy, bromance type stuff. You have that with every single one of your colleagues, and even all of the colleagues from Mass Effect 2. You can talk to them over a hologram, which I did, and there's a little cute scene with Shepard and Jack, where Shepard just goes, yeah, I love you too, honey, and Jack's just acting like a bitch. And yeah, I had a romance with Jack in Mass Effect 2, but anyways, after you do all that, you initiate this big final battle sequence where you launch these huge missiles at this one Reaper that's on the ground. Then as soon as that happens, you run towards this gigantic beam of light that's coming from the Citadel and just hitting the ground. And then there's the big Mother Reaper itself, Harbinger. He's in the background. He's like, hey, what's up? And then Shepard and Anderson just run towards the beam, and Shepard is zapped up to the Citadel, and Shepard is wounded really, really badly. He gets attacked by Harbinger, and he damn near gets killed. And then Shepard reaches this big computer unit that's on the Citadel, and that's where he meets both Anderson and the Elusive Man. This is pretty much the final battle between Shepard and the Elusive Man. And here, one thing I found pretty interesting is that both of the previous times throughout the whole game, you only talk with the Elusive Man 3 times throughout this whole game. And if you go with straight Paragon Charm options in the last 2 conversations, if you go with the blued out dialogue options on the dialogue wheels when you're talking with the Elusive Man, if you do that throughout the past 2 conversations, when you're talking with the Elusive Man here, you can convince him to shoot himself. Yeah. Now, what does that remind you of? Remember in the first game, whenever you had a high enough charm point and you were talking to Saren and you could convince him to actually shoot himself so that you wouldn't have to fight him 2 times? Yeah, the same thing happens here with the Elusive Man. But unfortunately, I kind of learned that the hard way, and I wasn't able to charm him into committing suicide. So I had to do like a little renegade interrupt where Shepard shoots him and kills him. So after that happens, Shepard and Anderson, who are both very, very, very badly injured, they look at Earth and the Reapers and all the destruction and carnage that's happening, and they're like, Shepard, you've been a good friend. You too, sir. And then Anderson dies, and they're like, aw. And then Shepard ascends to this higher computer thing, which is apparently where the Crucible is located, the big Prothean device. And so, whenever that happens, the weirdest fucking thing happens here. Basically, the catalyst for the crucible, which is the essential part needed for the crucible to work against the Reapers, it manifests itself as some sort of weird ghost AI hologram thing, which takes the form of a little kid that Shepard saw get killed on Earth at the beginning of the game. And then the little kid gives Shepard 3 choices. Now Shepard has the choice to either A, Shepard has the choice to destroy the Reapers, but when that happens, you have to destroy all synthetic life. B, you have the option to control the Reapers, which, strangely enough, that's the Paragon choice. You think that that would be the Renegade choice, controlling the Reapers and working with them, but no, that's the Paragon choice. That's the good guy choice. So what the fuck? How is that the Paragon choice, working with the Reapers? That doesn't make any sense. And then there's a third choice, which is the choice of... Which is the choice, I guess it's the neutral choice, but it's the choice to... the little kid calls it synthesis, which basically it is the fusion of all organic and synthetic life. Now, what happens here is that pretty much all synthetic and organic life will fuse together and become one big sapient being, because the biggest motivation for the Reapers doing this whole cycle of destruction and genocide and extinction and all that is because that they're supposed to be like the scions of order. They're meant to bring order and balance to the galaxy, and they believe that organic life brings nothing but chaos and disorder. So the reason why they commit all these horrible extinctions to all these species is because that they believe that there's simply not enough room in the galaxy for 2 gigantic, prosperous species. They believe that the old species have to die and make way for the new species to prosper, which is very interesting, because we finally find out why the Reapers are doing what they do. And if you go with the synthesis choice, then that whole order of synthetics killing organics, that'll be completely stopped, because synthetics and organics will be one and the same. So that's the choice I went with, strangely enough. But that didn't happen when I went to that part of the Crucible. That did not fucking happen. I'll tell you what happened when the game ended. And in this ending was that Shepard steps into this huge beam of light, and he gets disintegrated. He dies. Shepard sacrifices himself, and then what happens is that, depending on which ending you went with, the Reapers all apparently die, and then after that happens, all the organics are like, yay, the Reapers are dead, we won. But then all of a sudden, the Crucible disperses like all these big, pretty, different colored lights, and then all of a sudden, all the mass relays blow up. All of them! All of them across all the star systems. They just randomly explode. Now, according to the way this ending was supposed to play out, nobody was supposed to die. Nobody. But let me tell you what the contradiction here is. The contradiction, if you remember playing the Arrival DLC, if you remember when Shepard blew up that mass relay, it killed everybody living in that whole star system. It destroyed that entire star system. So if every single mass relay in the galaxy explodes, that means that every single person living in all those star systems, everybody dies. That's what it boils down to. Everybody is killed by the explosions of these mass relays. That's what fucking happens. So it's not a happy ending. And then we see Joker flying the Normandy and he's apparently escaping this explosion of a mass relay, and then all of a sudden, the Normandy ends up on this big tropical planet. It's stuck in all these trees and shit. And then we see Joker and the two other people that we took with us on this final mission. They step out of the Normandy, they look around, and then the end. That's the end. I'm not kidding. Look it up. I can't believe. How could they do this? How could they give us such a shitty ending to such a great game? Not just one great game, but three. 3 great games. This was supposed to be the knot that tied the entire series up so tightly. This was supposed to be the end of Commander Shepard's story. This was supposed to be a happy ending. So what happened? Why did this happen? Why did all the mass relays blow up? Why is the Normandy on this tropical planet? Why does everybody die? How come we didn't get any closure with any of the other species? Why didn't we see the Quarians and the Geth getting along? Why didn't we see the Krogan prospering because the genophage was cured? Why didn't we see the Turians and the Asari rebuilding Palaven and Thessia? Why didn't we see Shepard's funeral being held? Why didn't we see Jack or whoever else the love interest was? Why didn't we see them mourning? There is no closure. They only make more questions that need to be answered, and that's not what they should have done. I'm disappointed, BioWare. I'm sincerely disappointed. How could you do this to us? How could you do this to your fans? How could you give them such a horrific, shitty fucking ending? I'm not sure if I would classify this as the worst video game ending ever, but in my opinion, it definitely takes the cake as the worst ending to a great game series. That is the truth, in my opinion. We never see any of the characters that we know of. We never see them get happy endings. We never see the galaxy getting rebuilt. We never see a fucking Commander Shepard statue being built in any of the places that he was born. We never see any of that. Ever. We just see the mass relays blow up and we see everybody getting killed. Or I guess, I don't know if they're supposed to get killed or not, but if we're keeping consistent with the second game, then everybody's supposed to die, because when a mass relay blows up, then that kills the entire population of a fucking star system. So, this is unacceptable, BioWare. This really is. Let me tell you something. In a lot of ways, I guess you could sort of, to me anyways, I know this is pretty cliched, but I always thought of the Mass Effect games a lot like the original Star Wars trilogy, in the fact that the first Mass Effect was an epic, amazing, very self-contained, fun little adventure story that introduced us to the universe and the characters, and it got us pumped for seeing more games and more stories to be told. The second game was sheer perfection, in my opinion. The second Mass Effect game is one of the best sequels to any piece of fiction ever created. Whether it be film, novel, comic book, video game, whatever. Mass Effect 2 was simple awesomeness. There was nothing I could say that was bad about Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 1 was A New Hope. Mass Effect 2 was definitely Empire Strikes Back. It had that same moral ambiguity. It was dark as hell. There was a very big sign of, pessimism, and there was very little hope for any of the characters. It was very, very, very dark. it was not. The tone was much darker and a lot more morally conflicting than the first game. Mass Effect 3 is like, to me, Mass Effect 3 is like Return of the Jedi. Except, in place for the Ewoks, we have that fucking ending. The rest of the game is perfect. There's nothing bad about it. But that ending, that needs to go. That really needs to go. Because there are countless gamers and fans out there who have invested insane amounts of time into these games. And when you end the series like this, it makes me and a whole bunch of other people feel like it was for nothing. So, for all the Mass Effect and BioWare fans out there, I just want to say this. Take this video and paste it onto any forum you can see, because BioWare needs to get the message. We want a real ending for Mass Effect 3. I demand that the game receives a proper ending, because what we have in its place is simply unacceptable. And the fact that none of the decisions you made in the first two games matter towards the ending that's in this one. This needs to fucking change. This needs to be fixed. BioWare, whoever rushed this ending out, they couldn't have thought this was a good idea. They couldn't have. I've talked on for a long ass time, and I'm actually starting to get a bit tired. To describe how devastatingly awful the ending was, I thought I was following pretty well what was happening in Mass Effect 3. But when that ending came, I had no idea what the fuck was going on anymore. To describe it, it would be like, imagine Lord of the Rings. Imagine if you've watched all 3 movies or read all 3 of the books. You're going through Return of the King. And at the very end, it turns out that Frodo isn't actually a hobbit living in Middle-earth, but he's actually a stoner hippie in the 1970s who just woke up from the longest acid trip that he's ever gone through in his whole life. Imagine how you would feel if that little plot twist had happened. That's pretty much exactly the way that ending for Mass Effect 3 was to me. So yeah. Like I said, copy and paste this video onto any BioWare or Mass Effect related forum you can find. Because we need to spread the word. All of us fans, all of us Mass Effect fans, all of us gamers, we need to let BioWare know that this is not an acceptable conclusion to a game series that we have known about for 5 years. That we have spent so much time playing and perfecting all of our Shepards and all of our characters and all of that. No. Just no. This won't do. This is a horrible ending. Well, I think I better stop. I think I've said enough, but I would strongly recommend Mass Effect 3, but just pay no attention to that ending, please. That ending was it just hurt so much. I loved all these characters. I became so emotionally invested in everything. I became so emotionally invested in these characters and their relationships and my relationships with them and this whole story and all of these resolutions, and they just ended like this. This can't go can't go unchanged. It's like a giant kicked right to the balls. But yeah, I better stop this. I better stop recording. So yeah, leave a comment. See you later, everyone.